Whirly Gardner until I went to the craft fair that was in the mountain lair. And there was this little group of guys sitting there with their little check shirts and their little bandanas and their little hats on, and this guy playing this funny looking instrument there, and you know, a guitar and a mandolin and a banjo, and it was Whirly and his bunch. And I found out that Whirly draws a very big circle. He doesn't exclude people, he always included them. He had that kind of a personality, and I really, really did find him to be what I would consider to be a real gentleman. He never said bad things about people, he never talked bad about anybody. He drew a few sort of lines around what he expected for this festival, including no electric instruments and no drums. And I think that was a good choice. I think he did well. But he started that out, and like I said, I attended the first one in 1980, and every one since. And you know, even when Whirly needed to have a musician that maybe was missing from his band, he would give me a call, and I'd play with him. So anyway, so that's really my recollections of Whirly, and I do think that you know, he was such a force, such a constant, quiet force, that you didn't see him in the foreground. You always knew that he was working in the background. And I think that Eb and Judy are doing a lot of the same sort of thing, and I think we ought to really recognize that too. How about that? So, wow. So I've got this Gardner Winter Music Festival. You have bettered our lives by furthering old-time music, and we are grateful. I am grateful. Thank you. Award for traveling the farthest.
It's the only time that we've added that to the Heritage Award. So
Okay, so I'm a dual winner here today. Thank you very much.
All right, ready? What are you going to do?
We're going to do Live and Let Live. That's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
I think Tiffany and I can sing it. How many are we going to do? One? We have 20
you
minutes?
haven't told, you have 20 minutes.
This is going to be tough, guys. Okay, we're going to do one that we're going to let our banjo player Tim Selman kick it off. It's one entitled Live and Let Live. about every one of these people on stage. This guy over here playing the dobro is one of the most phenomenal musicians you'll ever find. Bruce Jones. We went to play a little gig up at the top of Bald, what's the name of that? Spruce Knob. Spruce Knob. Spruce Knob Mountain there. And it was a kind of a hippie fest thing. And so we were all supposed to introduce ourselves, and it was a big circle, you know, everybody stands in a circle and looks at each other and all that. And get around to Bruce, and Bruce, they said, what do you know, tell us a little bit about yourself. Bruce said, I'm a bungee jumper. and that just cracked me up. I just thought, now, who would ever think of being a bungee jumper in the first place? And secondly, looking at Bruce, would you ever think of him as
They make big chords.
Fellow on the banjo over here, Tim Selman, give him a hand. Banjo players really have to struggle because they're generally kind of, you know, not given a lot of credit for things. But Tim is a fantastic guy. A fellow named Tom White sort of introduced Tim and I, or brought us together into the Falling Run Bluegrass Band. And we've been playing music together for, gosh, I think it's the better part of 30 plus years. So Tim he also made a banjo for me. I have a Selman banjo. I have it out in California, actually. And everybody out there thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, you know, so really good. This guy behind me here on this side, Zach Fanock, I've known that guy since he was just about knee-high to a grasshopper, you know. You got to figure that. And he was playing the fiddle back then. And he was a good fiddle player. Chris Haddix, I think, did some teaching of you. And Zach, we recruited Zach into the band, though. It's been a while, but he's even helped me on some forestry projects. I took him out in the woods one day, and he kind of liked it, I think. So, yeah, he had a great time. Made a little money. And Tiffany, who showed up at my doorstep one day, had called up that she wanted to, said she heard that I was the person in bluegrass that she needed to talk to. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure about that, but here she showed up. So we went out on the porch there, a nice covered porch, and we had our instruments out, and I started playing, and she started singing. I said, do you want to be in our band? It took about that long, you know, and I said, okay, I gotta have this one, because she's got one of the finest voices I've ever heard. The guy playing the bass, yeah, please. And don't forget about Zach, by the way. And the guy playing the bass, well, he came to the Percival Pickers, and we were doing this and that and the other thing, and talking around, and he said he was in mining engineering. Well, you know, so asked me, what do I do? I'm a forester. Oh, he said, got a little curious about it. So I started sort of subliminal messages, you know, showing him pictures of trees and, you know, journal forestry, here's your reading material. Next thing you know, he was in the forestry department, and he got his bachelor's and master's degree in forestry. Now, lives up in Kingwood and works for who? Who do you work for? Environmental Services. So, Aaron Holly. And with that introduction, I want Aaron to sing one.